Show me the place where you want your slave to go. Show me.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music. Today, we're going to review the millionth release from Leonard Cohen entitled Old Ideas. Leonard Cohen, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so anytime you have an artist of that level of prestige, you know, it's always exciting going into reviewing or listening to an album from that level of a musician, an artist. And really, just the preconceived notions that gives you, like, you know that it's going to just be good no matter what, right? And the score I've seen other reviewers give this are reflecting that. I think this has an 85 on Metacritic right now, and so listening to that, I couldn't help but be really excited to review this album and to see what happens. What my take was. Tom, what was your take on Old Ideas?
Well, Leonard Cohen, you know, you never know what to expect from this guy, right, because he's always had kind of the same, well, okay, not that he's always sounded the same, but he's always been very focused on the lyrics, right, that delivery, you know, it's almost like, yeah, it's almost like spoken word poetry set to a musical background that tries to fit the lyrics that he's going for. And I mean, this really is no different, but I actually thought that it was pretty weak compared to a lot of his stuff,
right,
which was disappointing to me. I feel like this is a classic case of people just being excited to listen to more Leonard Cohen. And that's great, but you have to take it for what it is, and you have to be realistic about that. Because I feel like, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I will stand by this to the day I die. If this was the debut album by just some old guy that had been playing for years, but no one had ever heard of him, no one would give two craps about this album. It's purely just that nostalgic idea of what Leonard Cohen has been for like the last 40 years, and people being excited to hear something new from him. And that's a little frustrating for me, because listening to this album, I definitely enjoyed it throughout, but I didn't think this was anywhere close to the best songwriting I've heard in like the last decade. Right. Probably some of the weakest.
Right. It's so minimal in sound.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have just the the acoustic guitar. You'll have just very light, soft in the background organ, just keyboard.
Which actually the keyboard, like the organ sounds and the guitar sounds and even harmonica at times were my favorite parts of the album.
Absolutely.
And then the tracks where there's like bass and or drums, which is probably only like half the tracks. They sound awful. Right. They just sound awful. There's no way around it. The way they're produced, they sound like they were done on a Casio keyboard. Just going doom doom doom, and like
not like a high quality Casio keyboard.
No, like the $50 ones you find at Walmart.
Yeah, you go to Walmart and purchase a Casio keyboard. I mean, Leonard Cohen, you'd find him there playing on the keyboard.
They play. I mean, those parts play their roles in the songs and helping them move along. But if you really sit and focus on the sound, they just don't sound good. And to me, that is really unacceptable in this day and age. I don't like beats like that. They don't need to be big, fat, thick beats, but they could have been so much better than that. And to me, it just kind of sounds lazy. Another thing that bothered me about this was that in the songs where he has his backup vocalists, I feel like his backup vocalists were carrying the song more than he was.
Right. And I feel like part of the reason that is, Tom, is because, you know, this guy's 77 years old.
Yeah.
He like, one of my notes on the first track is the lowest vocals ever recorded. The guy is mostly just speaking in his deep growl of a voice. Just Tom Waits.
Yeah, it has this kind of like Tom Waits / Lou Reed kind of drawl to it.
And there's actually some really endearing qualities to to his vocals. But the thing is that he's actually not singing at all. He's really just kind of speaking. And if he is singing, it's about 3 notes. So I feel like they have the backup singers in here just to, you know, take some of the pressure off of his vocals. And I don't feel like I think they relied on that too much, because I actually enjoyed his vocals. Like I said, that's one of the most endearing qualities of listening to a Leonard Cohen album is listening to his vocals, because the way he says things, you know, when he says, I said, is this contagious? You said, just drink it up. Like, there's something that you just love about that. It makes you want to keep listening.
Some of the lines on here are great. Now, one that I want to pick out is in the last track, Different Sides. And that was actually a track pick of both me and and Jake's, which is funny because that one and the track before it, Lullaby, are probably the biggest offenders of the just horribly crappy bass and drum sounds. But the line I want to pick out is, "You want to change the way I make love, I want to leave it alone." It's funny when you think about it, and then you realize that the last thing you want to think about on this earth is Leonard Cohen making love. That is, like, you grasp that and you go, oh God, that's the thought you're leaving me with on this album? No, thank you. No, thank you.
Oh, man.
So,
77 years old.
So, I just thought I'd point that out.
He's so spry. All right. To get back on the subject of the music, overall, this is a decent album. It's very well put together, very professionally produced. Other than some of the crappy, which I would almost say that's more of a poor choice of just instrumentation.
It's hard to say whether it's instrumentation or production because you don't know how they recorded it and you don't know how they manipulated the sounds from there. So I don't really know. Maybe production was the wrong term. I wasn't there for the making of this album. So
exactly. But overall, this is a solid release. It's listenable. But when I'm listening to it, it's just so lethargic in mood.
Yeah.
It's so just this is the perfect just Saturday afternoon driving through the interstate that goes across northern Nevada. Just dust blown, and to me, I'd rather listen to Earth first of all if I'm going to listen to that. So because I think Earth has a much more interesting take on that mood. But other than that, there's not a lot that brings me back to this album.
And each song kind of accomplishes the same thing.
Exactly.
So not much variety.
Overall, I'm not understanding where the crazy hype is. I understand, recognizing an established artist when he puts out a decent album like this, but not to that level. I'm sitting at a 69 right now. This is on the cusp of being a very solid album and a solid release. Nothing groundbreaking or remarkable, but just okay, good.
I'm also going to say 69. I feel like this album is all about Leonard Cohen's past work, and the guy has done some brilliant, great stuff, and I don't think this lives up to it at all. I think if you just listen to this blindly, you'd be relatively unimpressed.
Our scores kind of correspond well with that lyric you picked out.
Oh God!
I'm Jake.
Oh, I'm Tom.
And we are being
Velocities
in Music. Please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Leave us a comment about what you thought about old ideas and our stupid jokes that we bring up on Velocities in Music. I'm Jake. Tom.
I'm Tom. Yeah,
VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Like your stone.